Welcome to the AI for Technical Writers podcast. This is episode 100. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Fred.
Wow, 100 episodes. That's quite something. And, what better way to market than tackling the elephant in the room for technical writers, doc specialists, IT folks?
You mean the big question, is AI actually taking our jobs right now?
Exactly. That anxiety, it's everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. It's completely understandable. I mean, ever since ChatGPT hit the scene back in, late 2022, the speculation about job losses has just been nonstop.
Right. But the good news is we don't have to rely just on headlines and, guesses anymore. There's data now.
Yeah, we can look at the actual numbers.
And this study review we're looking at today, it was actually suggested by our producer, Curt Robbins. He's a senior technical writer himself. Gives us a really solid data check on the last 33 months or so.
Right. Our main source here is a big analysis from the Budget Lab at Yale. It's called Evaluating the Impact AI on the Labor Market, Current State of Affairs, published October 1st, 2025. The authors are Martha Gimbel, Molly Kinder, Joshua Kendall, and Maddie Lee. It's quite comprehensive.
So our mission today is pretty clear, right? We're going to look at how the U.S. labor market has really changed since Gen AI went public. Compare the hard data to all that speculation that's been worrying you.
And let's just put the main finding out there right up front so you know where this is heading.
Good idea.
Despite all the, fear about AI exposure, automation, all that, the current numbers show basically no sign that these things are actually tied to major changes in employment or unemployment, not across the whole economy anyway.
Stability. The big picture is stability.
Yeah, that's the headline, really. Stability.
Which is honestly kind of surprising. It feels like things are changing at lightning speed, doesn't it?
It really does, but this data indicates the broader labor market as a whole hasn't seen a huge disruption since late 2022. It kind of cuts against that fear of AI immediately wiping out cognitive jobs on a massive scale. And what's really interesting is this fits the historical pattern. We tend to forget, I think, but big technological shifts, they usually play out over decades, not months.
Right, like computers in offices, that wasn't an overnight thing.
Exactly. It took nearly a decade for computers to become truly standard, to really change how businesses worked day to day.
Okay, so even if Gen AI is as big a deal as the PC, and I think we both believe it probably is, it makes sense that the big economic effects would take longer than, just under 3 years to really show up everywhere. We're still figuring it out, adopting it.
Precisely. And to track this, the Yale researchers, they looked closely at something called the occupational mix.
Occupational mix. Okay, what's that exactly?
Think of it like the flavor profile of the entire workforce. It measures how workers are distributed across all the different types of jobs, how many tech writers, how many accountants, retail workers, everything.
Ah, okay. So it's an index that shows how fast that mix, that profile is changing. If AI really hit hard and fast, that mix would look totally different now, right? Millions of people would have had to switch job types already.
That's the idea. And when you compare the speed of change now versus, say, the internet boom from 96 to 2002, the job mix is changing a bit faster today. But only just.
How much faster?
The difference is pretty small, about 1 percentage point higher than during that internet adoption phase. So, yeah, a slight pickup, but not like falling off a cliff.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, especially for you listening, thinking about your career path. The data suggests this shift, this change in the job mix, it actually started before generative AI arrived.
Yeah, around 2021, things were already starting to shift.
That pre-trend, that's huge, isn't it?
It's absolutely crucial because if the types of jobs in demand were already changing composition before ChatGPT,
then you can't blame everything that's happening now just on Gen AI.
Exactly. It means maybe some of the instability we feel is, leftover pandemic effect or cloud computing maturing or even just hiring corrections after that big tech boom.
Yeah.
Not purely AI replacing human thinking right now.
So the nature of your job as a tech writer or IT pro was probably already shifting towards needing augmentation, needing new skills, even without this latest AI breakthrough.
That seems to be what the aggregate data suggests. Now, if we zoom in a bit, on specific sectors, you do see bigger movements. Information, financial activities, professional and business services. Those sectors saw larger shifts in their job mix than the overall market.
And that's key for our listeners because the information sector that includes software, data processing, digital media, it saw the biggest shifts. And it's also considered one of the most theoretically exposed to AI.
Right. We're talking about your industry here. But again, the caveat applies.
The timing.
The timing? A lot of that volatility, even in information, seems to have started before ChatGPT launched. So the researchers conclude it's not just an AI thing from the last couple of years. It might just be, well, how the tech industry is. Volatile.
So if you're managing content or you're an IT exec, the immediate risk might not be purely automation replacing people, but just the inherent ups and downs of the tech sector itself. AI might be pouring fuel on it, but maybe didn't start the fire.
That's a good way to put it. Another thing they looked at was age groups. Recent college grads, like 24-year-olds, versus slightly older workers, 25-34.
Okay, what did they find there?
They found a slight recent uptick in how different the job mix looks between those two groups.
Suggesting maybe it is hitting entry-level folks a bit more. Like if basic tasks, writing simple FAQs, maybe some internal docs get automated or heavily augmented.
Then that traditional first step onto the career ladder gets smaller, yeah. And that finding does align with other research suggesting early career workers might feel the impact first. But, the Yale team urges caution here. Sample sizes are small.
Okay.
It could just be that younger workers always get hit harder when the overall job market slows down, AI or no AI.
So the takeaway, if you're just starting out, is maybe focus hard on complex systems thinking, on using AI yourself, because those basic learn the ropes tasks might be the first to change significantly.
That seems like a very sensible approach, yeah.
Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Curt Robbins.
Hi, this is Curt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
Welcome back to the AI for Technical Writers podcast. Okay, so before the break, we established the big picture. Generally stable labor market, not huge AI-driven disruption yet.
Right.
But now we need to tackle that core anxiety.
Yeah.
The risk.
Right. How much risk is there really?
To get a handle on that, you'd ideally want to know if the proportion of workers and jobs most likely to be affected by AI is actually changing. But the problem is getting real data on who is using which AI tools and how much. It's just not publicly available.
Yeah, that comprehensive usage data is the missing piece. So we have to use proxy stand-ins.
And the Yale team looked at two main ones. What was the first?
The first is based on OpenAI's work. It's a measure of exposure. It's theoretical, looking forward. It estimates the percentage of tasks within a job that Gen AI could potentially speed up by at least 50%.
So what could be automated or augmented, not necessarily what is.
Exactly. It's about potential vulnerability.
And what did that exposure metric show? Did the share of workers in high exposure jobs shoot up or down?
Nope. Remarkable stability again. The share of workers in low, medium, and high exposure groups, it basically hasn't budged since ChatGPT launched. It stayed around 29% low, 46% middle, and 18% high exposure.
So even though jobs like writing and coding have high theoretical exposure, that hasn't yet translated into big shifts in how many people are actually employed in those categories overall.
Not in the aggregate employment numbers, no. Now, the second proxy tries to get closer to reality, focusing on the present. That's usage data from Anthropic, specifically for their AI, Claude.
Ugh. Claude, known for being pretty good at writing and coding, right?
Very much so.
Okay.
And this is critical for you listening. The usage data shows Claude is heavily used by computer mathematical pros, coders, basically. No surprise there.
Okay.
But arts and media jobs, which includes writers, that group is also way overrepresented in Claude usage compared to how many of them there are in the total workforce.
So people like us, technical writers, content creators, we're already jumping in and using these tools a lot more than the average worker.
It certainly looks that way based on the Claude data, but here's the really interesting part. Compare the two proxies, the OpenAI exposure measure and the Anthropic usage measure.
Do they line up?
Only somewhat. There's a limited correlation.
Yeah.
Like coders are high exposure and high usage. Makes sense.
Right.
But think about, say, administrative or clerical jobs. They often rank high on theoretical exposure, lots of tasks AI could do, but they show surprisingly low actual usage in the Anthropic data.
Huh. Why would that be? If the tech can do it, why aren't companies using it there?
Well, that's where reality bites, right? It highlights that just because the tech exists doesn't mean instant deployment. For a big company, Swapping out established clerical workflows, integrating AI with old systems, dealing with compliance.
The cost and hassle might just outweigh the savings, especially for jobs that maybe aren't paid as much to begin with.
Exactly. It's often an economic decision, an integration headache, not just can the AI do the task.
Yeah.
Technological possibility has to meet business reality and organizational capacity.
That's a really important point. Just because AI can doesn't mean a company will, at least not immediately.
And while that Anthropic data is super relevant because it shows writers and coders are early adopters, we have to remember its limits.
Like the bias.
Yeah, the bias. Claude's known for writing and reasoning, so people who need that are more likely to use it. That user base isn't necessarily typical of how everyone across the economy might be using all the different AI chatbots out there.
So we still have this big gap in understanding the full picture of AI use.
A massive data gap, which leads us to what's needed next. If we really want to track AI's impact accurately, we desperately need comprehensive usage data, especially API usage.
The hidden usage, not just people typing into chatbots.
Right. We need transparent data from all the major players, Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, showing how much AI is being used by individuals and by companies, particularly through those APIs that plug AI invisibly into existing software.
Like AI integrated into Confluence or SharePoint or Jira, tools technical writers use every day. If we don't see that API data,
we can't know if AI is quietly replacing the work, even if it's not yet replacing the worker on paper. That lack of API data, it's like the ghost in the machine the Yale researchers are really worried about.
Okay, so summing up for everyone listening, the current story, based on data up to late 2025, is mostly stability in the overall job market, not the massive AI disruption many feared, at least not yet.
Yeah, the volatility we do see, especially in tech, looks more like ongoing sector turbulence rather than immediate widespread automation caused solely by Gen AI. And it's generally moving slower than past tech revolutions.
The job mix is changing, but that started before ChatGPT. So
Yes.
it's not if things will change, but when and how fast you can adapt. The Yale team's going to keep watching the monthly data, and we'll definitely keep you updated.
Which brings us to a final thought. If the data shows AI isn't taking masses of jobs yet, but it is clearly boosting productivity for those who use it well, especially in roles like writing and coding, then maybe the biggest immediate danger isn't getting automated out of a job. Maybe it's becoming, well, irrelevant within your job.
Like being outcompeted.
Exactly. If you aren't learning to use these tools to make yourself significantly more efficient, more capable, are you risking getting left behind by peers who are becoming highly augmented? In a job market that might stay stable overall, but becomes much more demanding in terms of productivity. That's something to think about.
Thank you for listening to the AI for Technical Writers podcast, where we help you get smarter than your competition. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you next week.